one of my favorite Fats Domino riffs appears in Hey Fat Man. I think it's a lesser known piece, but it's certainly no worse than any of his great recordings. The original sounds as though it might be in C sharp. I would personally find it very hard to play in a key like that, and I would imagine most piano players would find that very difficult. So I have a feeling it was probably actually in C, and it's been distorted, but it is possible that he played it in C sharp. But it sort of sounds something like this. Something like that, you know? So what I really want to focus there is this part. So that can be broken down into the notes D, E flat, E, G, A, and then a chord between a C and a G. Right? So most of it is an even run up. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that's a pretty simple way to play that. That's my interpretation of that sound. It's really open to, a lot of changes around you could do. Really whatever you want. But the simple way to play that would be to do an E, a B flat, and a D. Or you could maybe add in an E on top and a G. And personally, sometimes I like to sort of wobble that, use a pendulum style playing. So. So you can play as much of the chord as you want, but that's just up to how many fingers you want to be moving at the same time, because it can be quite a hefty riff to handle, especially if you're sort of new to it. It's pretty much the same thing in the second key. So here you have F, you have a G, G sharp, or I guess an A flat, a C, a D, and an F and a C in a chord. And here when you get to that second, so when you don't necessarily have to play one of these. You could. It's pretty much made up of a minor C chord. But you could just go right back. You might notice I play a few sort of in-between notes. Right? That's just sort of a starting point, really. It's easier to start with a note like that. So if in between. Start with a C on top. Or you could start on the bottom. But it's best to have sort of an anchor note really on that offbeat. So he usually plays it, I think, in that song with a chop. He only does it once, I should say, but I get the impression that it's done with sort of a chop bass line. Sort of decipher what goes on in the next little bit of music, but I would say it's something. Fats Domino use that one all the time. It's a beautiful, just simple. It's surprisingly hard to master. You'll hear even I'm clearly not fantastic with it, but it's a very sort of 1950s rock and roll, just And he started it off with a little bit of sort of variation. I think it's that sort of sound, but that's sort of the sound you have going on when you get into the key of G. Of course, if you didn't want to do that, you could just go. Right, so there you have a D, or sorry, an A sharp or a B flat, B, D, E, and your G and your D chord play together. There you could play an F, an A, and a B. And again, it's really a great riff because it's open to sort of what chords you want to throw in. It can really change the feeling you're getting. You could do it a lot slower. Right? You could sort of slide up rather than having you could give it a sliding effect. See, that's one I just sort of improvised there. You could go right back down, so from a G and a C, an F and an A, and then slide down into an E and a G. Now, so once you really get this down, that sort of is such a fantastic riff to have, and you'll even hear it used on its own sometimes, just as simple as.